Hey guys, welcome to 4th of July. We got a couple things going today. We're going to make some smoked baby back ribs. We raised some pigs. We then took care of our pigs, and then we're going to take our baby back ribs and we're going to smoke them. So first thing you want to do is take the back silver skin or membrane off. Make a cut right down the back side of the ribs, and I just use my fingers. And you can pull that skin right off, take it all the way down both sides, and just discard it. If you don't take that off, the ribs tend to be a little bit tougher, a little bit harder to eat, and we're trying to achieve some fall off the bone, tender smoked ribs. Once we do that, we're going to do a dry rub on them. When we do them, we do both sides, and we're just going to take some good quality kosher salt. Give it a good dose on both sides. Everything's a little bit better with a little black pepper. Garlic salt's always good. A little coat of garlic salt. Secret ingredients is a little bit of chili powder. Just any chili powder will work. A little bit more for color, not as much for taste. We got a little brown sugar mix that we're going to start with. Put this on a little bit heavier. And this is going to start pulling some of the moisture out of the ribs. This has got a little bit more pepper in it. A little red pepper. And then we're going to flip these ribs. We're going to kind of push it down. Kind of get it to stick a little bit. Kind of a firm believer in. Put the spices on and let them do their work. Same thing on the other side. We're just going to repeat. Salt is a natural tenderizer. A little bit of pepper. We're going to let these kind of coat in these spices for about an hour. I like to do it a little bit longer, but nevertheless, they're going to be delicious. With our ribs today, we're going to have some homemade potato salad, some baked beans, and to keep the wife happy, some boiled eggs. And the final step, old-fashioned, good old clean brown sugar rub. When I go to put this on though, I like to take it, put the ribs in a baking sheet, kind of scrunch them up so they can fit. We're going to kind of layer them in there because this is going to make a little bit of a mess. We're going to take our brown sugar. We're going to coat it on there pretty good. I'm going to take it, just kind of make a layer of brown sugar on it. I know that looks like a lot, but this is going to cook off. We're going to cook these on indirect heat. If you use that much brown sugar and cook on direct heat, you get this thing called burn. And we don't want to burn our ribs. We just want them to be nice and juicy. So we're going to cook them on indirect heat. Rub them in, make them feel good. Normally we would eat 1 rack of ribs, but because our kid's with us, we got 3 racks of ribs because he likes to eat. You hear him at good cooking. Make a kid happy every time. We're just going to wrap this up. When you open this up, and we'll show you when we open it up, there's going to be a whole lot of juices in the bottom of this. We just want to get it nice and tight. I don't know how everybody does their boiled eggs. I know what my family likes. And that's what my mama always did. So we're going to start boiling our eggs, however many eggs you want.
I do not eat deviled eggs.
Trey does not eat deviled eggs.
They are delicious.
I'll
so
eat
make
2.
lunch.
First step, boil the eggs. I've heard people say you gotta get the water boiling first, put them in cold water first and then boil it. I've done it every way possible and never have I eaten a boiled egg and said, man, that was in cold water first. Boil it for about 12 to 15 minutes. We're gonna take our boiled eggs, we're gonna put them immediately in cold water. You can do ice water. Cold water works just fine. Kind of rinse them around a little bit. I had 1 egg kind of blow up. That's our son's fault for the way he put it in.
Everything gets blamed on me.
We didn't capture that one. The quicker you peel these with that cold water, the better the eggs come apart. You take your egg, you roll it around, crush it good. And you'll notice that when they come off, everything comes completely off. I like to stop the cooking to my eggs. Once I peel it, I drop the whole egg back into the hot water, or into the cold water. Every now and then you'll get one that'll give you a fit. But if you're pretty patient with it, it'll peel right off with no problem. We'll continue peeling all these eggs, get them laid out. Then we'll show you the mixture that I like to use. It's kind of been tried and true. That's the one that blew up on us. If you get one that blows up on you, I like to keep it and still attempt to use it, because what I found is when I make my eggs, that if I turn my back or walk away, I don't know if we have a rat problem or a wife problem. They like to come in and sample things while we're cooking. And I tend to run out with my filling of the eggs a little bit, which is perfectly okay, but I always like to have a little extra on hand. Remember I told you guys that we had an ugly egg? We're gonna use that just for extra filling. We're gonna slice them open long ways. When we slice them open long ways, you can use a butter knife, a sharp knife, it really doesn't matter. Take them, flip them over, get all the yellow out, store it in a bowl. We're gonna do that 10 times. That one just came out for me, I really like it. I'm putting them back on a plate right now until I stuff them. When I have an ugly egg, I usually call that typically the sampler, and Mama gets to come in and sample it. All right, so we got all of our eggs, yellows in a bowl. I don't do a whole lot of measuring. I don't say it's a 1/4 teaspoon or a 1/2 teaspoon. I add a little bit of mustard to it. Throw some mayonnaise in it, usually a couple spoonfuls of mayonnaise in it. You can always add mayonnaise and mustard to it to get it where you want, but you can't really take it away without boiling more eggs. A couple tablespoons of sugar, and then we're gonna start mixing it up. When you mix it up, it's gonna be kind of lumpy at first. What we're trying to get is a nice smooth texture. And if it stays lumpy, that tells you need to add a little bit more mayonnaise. If it's a little bit too yellow, we'll add a little bit more mayonnaise. If it turns out where it's a real pale yellow, add a little bit more mustard. That's kind of the way I balance it out. As you can see here, it's kind of dry. It's not real creamy. Got a good color to it, but we're gonna have to add a little bit more mayonnaise to it to get it that good creamy texture. I base it all more off of texture than I do actually a measurement. You want to make sure you smash out all the lumps, mix up all the lumps, make sure all the mayonnaise is all covered up. Getting a little bit better. It's still pretty thick. We're going to add just a little bit more. You do not want it runny so that when you pick up your egg, your mixture runs out. We want it to be firm enough to stay in the egg. Another thing I'll tell you about my eggs, you won't see any red stuff on top. A lot of people like the paprika, smoked paprika on top. I don't care for it on my egg. Feel free to add some smoked paprika to the top just as a dressing. Pretty it up a little bit. That's a pretty good texture right there that we're looking for. We're gonna take a spoon and we're gonna stuff our eggs. Delicious.
Would you like to have some pickles in your eggs?
I do not like pickles in my eggs. I do not like green eggs and ham. What I do is I like my egg with egg, mustard, mayonnaise, and sugar. And that's how I like my deviled eggs. We're gonna get to stuffing some eggs. The way we stuff it, we get a spoonful. That egg kind of fell apart just a little bit. A handy dandy egg holder. Like an egg suitcase. Once you stuff it, take it and put it in our handy dandy egg holder. You want it to overflow a little bit, not a lot of it. You don't want an egg that lacks the filling in it, but you don't want it so stuffed that you have 4 or 5 eggs left over that don't have anything in it. So a little heaping spoonful in each one. and we will repeat this process until we get finished with all of our eggs. So far it's taken us 12 minutes to boil them, about 3 minutes to peel them, another 3 or 4 minutes to get our mixture right, and a little bit of time to stuff them. 20-25 minutes, you can have your boiled eggs and eat it too. We've got our ribs going, marinating. We have got deviled eggs. We got 2 more things to do inside, and then we're gonna take this guys outside and get our ribs ready to put onto the grill. We're utilizing the Green Egg Grill today. They're not a sponsor. They don't give me anything. I just love their product, and it's great to grill on. We got some brown sugar and country style baked beans that we're gonna do. We also have some homemade potato salad. Baked beans are pretty simple. We're gonna take our baked beans. We add a little bit of Worcestershire. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Oh yes. And with our beans, we do like a little bit of heat to it. We add a little bit of habanero. This habanero that we have, it is hot, hot, hot. So we add very little bit of that, not very generous with that portion of it. And last but not least, we add a little bit of brown sugar to it. We're gonna let those sit on low. All right, guys, we're back with you this afternoon. We're making some homemade potato salad. Trey doesn't like to eat it. He likes to cut things. So we're gonna allow him to make the potato salad. He's gonna take these red potatoes, he's gonna cut them in thirds and then kind of dice them up. I like bigger, chunkier potato salad because once we cook it down and start mixing it up, it's gonna kind of mash a little bit. We're gonna let him get these cut. I'm gonna get a couple more eggs in a pot because I like eggs in my potato salad.
No matter what they say, I find it a little bit easier. Sometimes do it a little bit different than the way they tell me to. Even though it's not the way they tell me to. Sometimes a little bit easier.
Quit throwing them in the floor! Alright guys, so I had stepped out for a minute. Trey's throwing half a potato in the floor. We got the potatoes boiling. I like to rinse my potatoes a little bit. They get a little foamy every now and then. Whenever you boil them for the potato salad, we're just gonna kind of give them a quick rinse. The other thing it does is it stops the cooking process. You don't want your potato salad mashed potatoes. So you want them a little bit firm. So we're gonna cool them off just a little bit, let them drain out. We're gonna put some mayonnaise and mustard. Some salt and pepper, and a little bit of sugar. Got a few more in there that are, those must be Ranger potatoes. They don't want to give up and get in there. The other thing I like to add to it is some rough sliced eggs. We're going to add that at the end. So you can see we have about 3.5 pounds of potatoes. I make that much because we like to eat it at the end. Leftovers is good. We got 3 racks of ribs that we're going to be doing. So we're gonna have plenty of leftover meat. I forgot Trey's here. We might have some leftover meat. So we're gonna add a few tablespoons of mayonnaise, a little bit of fresh kosher salt in there. And there's my pepper. And we're gonna give it a good douse of mustard. And I know what you're thinking, man, that's a lot of mustard. You always use a lot of mustard because you can't catch up. Little humor in there, you can't catch up. We're gonna mix it up in here. It's gotta have a good texture. We're gonna mash the potatoes a little bit. That's what creates that creaminess as we go. You don't want just big chunks of potatoes, but again, we don't want mashed potatoes. If you see the texture we're looking for here, you don't want it real thin. You don't want it real mushy. The next thing we're gonna take is we're gonna take our boiled egg. We're going to rough chop it in there. Just chunks of it. yellow, white, everything included. We're just gonna put a bunch of chunks in there. And we're gonna take that and give it one more little mix. We're gonna take some sugar. We like the sugar in here. We like it kind of sweet. We like it kind of with that little bit of salt and pepper. It makes a good balance in there. And then the favorite thing that I like to say when we get it about done like that is to yell for Junior. Junior!
Yes.
Like to yell for the kid, tell the kid, our fridge is pretty full up here right now. Give this to him and tell him to go put this in the big cold box downstairs. The big cold box, the refrigerator, please, sir. Let's open the ribs up real quick before we stop this and see what they look like. Those look like they're gonna be delicious. You kind of see how it's pulled the moisture out. Nice and pliable. A lot of liquid down in the bottom, mixed with some brown sugar. We are gonna re-wrap these ribs, but when I cook my ribs, they like to be rubbed on every now and then with that brown sugar to get it all in there. When we cook these, we're gonna put them on the grill. We're gonna put it on to put a good crust on the outside, a good bark, if you will. Once we do that, then we're going to wrap them. We're gonna do it two different ways today. We're gonna wrap one of them in butcher paper, and we're gonna wrap two of them in aluminum foil. The reason we're gonna do it that way is the aluminum foil way that I'm gonna show you today is tried and true and proven. That's the way I've always done them. But we're gonna give a new knowledge is power, and we're going to try a new technique today to let you know how it comes out. All right, guys, ribs have been marinating for a couple hours. We're gonna open them up. The way we like to do them is we're gonna put them on about 300, about 6 minutes each side, kind of let them crust each side a little bit. This is just to crust them. We're gonna go meat side up, bone side down to begin with. I've found that does a little bit better for us. You go meat side down first. Sometimes it gets a little bit more done than what I like to begin with. We're gonna put it on about 300, 6 minutes or so. We'll flip it, do it again, then we'll wrap it up and let it finish its slow cook the rest of the time. When we do the slow cook, it'll cook at about 225 to 250, and we'll let it just kind of cook slow for the rest of the afternoon. We've had our ribs on for about 8 minutes or so, 10 minutes total. Kind of getting a crust on each side of them. We don't want to leave them on too long. You guys saw the brown sugar that we put on there. You leave them on too long, they'll start crusting up and getting a little more done on the outside than what we want. We're going to take them off and we are going to wrap them up. Once we wrap them up, we're going to put them back on indirect heat. And it's liable to flame up just a little bit. Look at those good old tasty ribs. While I'm wrapping that one, I'm going to close it up because if not, that egg gets a little bit too much air in it. When it gets that air in it, it likes to flame up a little bit. So we're going to wrap these up nice and tight. And roll it over. And we're going to do the same thing one more time. I like to double wrap my ribs. I think it keeps more moisture in. I like them nice and tight. Oh, you can see how they're already starting to get juicy. Gonna close it back up. We're gonna double wrap these in aluminum foil. This, I know, is a tried and true method. Our boy out there, the first time I ever made these, and he remembers eating them, he went and picked one up by the bone, went to take a bite, and looked down and there was no meat whatsoever. It all fell off on the plate. It was literally fall off the bone, tender. Oh, those are gorgeous. Almost as pretty as my bride. Almost. All right, guys, now here's the hard part. This is a little bit of a pain. We got to take this hot grate out. We're going to put our heat deflector, or what we call the indirect shelf, in there. And what I have is I have a hook that I just hooked the grate on, and it is hot. And the old egg deflector goes in. Our apple cider vinegar, and then we're going to put it right back on. Really, really important that when you set that grate back on, my pan's a little bit big, but it does wonders for me. Then we close it, make sure it's going to close all the way. Once we do that, we can set our temperature. We're going to take our ribs and put them right back on top. I put these on meat side up. I'm not going to turn them. I'm not going to do anything at all to them. I am just going to put them on and let them cook. I close my vents a little, close my bottom vent a little, and get it where it's about 250. And we're going to leave it at that for about 3.5 hours. All right, guys, we just finished up with our ribs for our 4th of July dinner. We got some fall off the bone ribs, baked beans, potato salad, and some deviled eggs. So super excited to have it, very thankful to have it. Pigs we've raised, beans we bought, potatoes we've raised, eggs we've got from our chickens. So super excited to have it. We'll get ready to dig in. We'll serve it up. The kid always comes first. He doesn't eat the eggs or potato salad.
Thank you.
We'll give him a whole bunch of ribs.
If they stay on.
If they stay on.
Thank you.
I'll get him a plate for his bones, and we're about to dig in. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you guys shortly. All right, guys, we're going to check out the tenderness of the ribs. We're going to pull them apart and see. Well, we're going to try to pull them apart anyway. They kind of fall off the bone tender. So if you've never tried the ribs the way we did them tonight, give it a whirl. I am sure you will be completely satisfied. Thanks again for tuning in. That's tender.
They're delicious.
They are delicious.
Like, they're really, 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 really good. Trey, have you tried one yet?
You want diet or regular Dr. Pepper?
Diet. Look at my plate. Those are amazing.